What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another great episode. I'm your host, Drew Manning. Welcome to this podcast for those of you who are new. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the one who did the Fit to Fat to Fit journey back in 2011, ended up gaining 75 pounds on purpose in 6 months, and then lost it again in 6 more months. And now I'm here with a podcast to bring to you guys a unique twist on health and fitness. And what we do on the podcast is try and dive into a lot of episodes with experts, nutritionists, doctors, sometimes talking about health and fitness. And since the TV show has been out recently, what we do each week is we have the client and the trainer from the current episode of the TV show on the podcast to interview them. So today's episode is with Tramels, Jason, and Johnny, who was they were the 10th episode on season 1 of Fit to Fat to Fit on A&E. And we also have Monica, Tramels' wife, as well on the episode too. So we dive into a lot of the things that you don't get to see on camera. We dive into what their real thoughts and feelings were during some of the scenes, like the Pop-Tart scene, their first workout that they had, and a lot of other valuable information and some clarifications on some things that came across a certain way on the episode, but some clarifications from Tramels and Monica and Jason and Johnny, along with some very entertaining stories about their journey. But anyways, you guys got to listen to this episode. It's a great episode. But before we jump into the episode, our show sponsor for today is none other than $workoutclub.com. You guys, $workoutclub.com is our own online program. I partnered with Lynn and Natalie Hodson on this, and basically it's an online platform that gives you access to 5 at-home workout videos, 5 motivational videos, and 5 healthy recipe videos, all for just $1 a week. And all you do is go to $workoutclub.com, check it out. There's no long-term contracts, there's no hidden fees, there's no gimmies or gotchas, you guys. It's very straightforward, very upfront, and it's just $1 a week for access to high-quality content that normally, if you go to beachbody.com and do their online platform or Daily Burn, you're paying anywhere from like $10 to $15 for the same type of content. I mean, these are at-home workout videos that are for all fitness levels, you guys, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, that will get you great results. And the workouts are only 10 to 20 minutes long, you guys. So we feel like the quality of our workouts are just as good, if not better. But we also have healthy recipe videos and motivational videos to help you maintain this type of a lifestyle. And you're only paying $1 a week. So it's $4 a month versus $10 to $15 a month for even better content. So check it out at $workoutclub.com, you guys. The other show sponsor is highleat.com/fit to fat to fit. They are my preferred performance apparel company. I love their shorts. Their workout shorts are the best, in my opinion, highest quality. They're so versatile. You can use them for pretty much any type of fitness that you do. So whether it's basketball, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, these are great all-around shorts that last a long time, high quality. And you have to check them out. highleat.com/fit to fat to fit. Using my code or that custom URL, you guys, will give you up to 50% off on different types of apparel. They have great socks. They have great t-shirts, tank tops, polos, all kinds of stuff for women as well. So check them out. highleat.com/fit to fat to fit for exclusive pricing for my Fit to Fat to Fit followers, you guys, because you guys are what make this show so great. I want to return the favor with great sponsors. So let's go ahead and dive into today's episode with Jason, Johnny, Tramels, and Monica. All right, what's up, guys? We got Jason, Johnny, Tramels, and Monica on the phone here, right? How are you guys doing today?
Hey, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, all 4 of you guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Fantastic episode, you guys. Loved it. You guys killed it. I was highly entertained during the entire episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast so that people can get to know you guys on a more personal level. We can talk about some behind-the-scenes stuff and really dive into what your guys' experience was with this brand new TV show that's totally different than anything else that's out there, right? I mean, you got Biggest Loser, you have Extreme Weight Loss, and then we have Fit to Fat to Fit. That's kind of in a category of its own because it's putting the trainers kind of in their client's shoes. I don't want to say completely, because as we all know, I mean, Tramel did what he did for 4 months. I did what I did for 6 months, and in no way are we trying to pretend to know exactly where our clients are coming from. But at the end of the day, we can at least say we have a better understanding versus who we were before. That's the hope, at least. But anyways, let's get started with you guys and your guys' episode. So I'll kind of shift gears and say, okay, this question's for you, Tramel. This one's for you, Monica. This one's for you, Jason and Johnny. And we'll just kind of go from there, because I know that if four people are talking at the same time, it's gonna be kind of hectic. But okay, so let me ask you guys, Jason and Johnny, when they filmed Tramel's recording of him telling you guys that he was going to gain this weight, was that real, or did you guys already know beforehand at that point, or was you guys kind of really shocked when he told you that?
That was 100% real. We had no idea.
That's cool. And so, Tramel, what about for you? When you applied for the show, did you know that this is what it was going to be?
No, I didn't find I was going to have to gain the weight until I was already accepted as one of the cast members.
So after you signed the contract, they're like, oh, by the way,
right,
got to gain all this weight.
I wanted to do, or if it was, I just kind of took a step back and, decided that it would be something that would kind of be valuable for me and for my growth. So, like I said, I do recall, I think in 2010, 2011, watching your post on CNN, and I was like, I would do that one day. And then it's just funny how time, met up with time, and I was actually able to go through the experience myself.
So I got to ask you, what was your conversation like with Monica when you first told her, and Monica, maybe you can speak to this. What was your reaction when he told you?
I think when we first kind of figured out that it was going to be this kind of experiment was we were sent your book, and I started flipping through it. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I just see you getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this what they're expecting you to do, or what? What are we signed up for? So that's when we kind of got a hint of what was going on.
That's funny. Now, you work in the medical field, right, Monica? Or what do you do exactly?
Physical therapist.
Physical therapist. Okay, so you kind of know some of the health ramifications and health risks doing something like this, right? Were you worried about that with Tramel going into this?
Like I said on the show, I thought that he was, first of all, in such good health to start off with. I thought that, 4 months wouldn't be that bad. I'm like, 4 months, that's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Years for him to get to a point where his blood pressure would raise up that high. Because before the show, I think his blood pressure was like 90 over 52 or something, like ridiculously low. And then for 140, and that was probably in like 2 or 3 months, it was like, really?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I kind of can understand it from your perspective. But it is only for 4 months, and all the doctors that I've spoken to is like, there's not a lot of studies or research on short-term weight gain in this kind of context. But the good thing is that at least he was monitored by a physician throughout to make sure it wasn't getting too serious. Because what was it, 2 months in that your blood pressure got pretty high, right, Tramel?
It was at the 2 month mark that I was starting to get little slight chest pains and emas, and that's when I talked to production and asked if we could speed up the doctor visit. And that's when we set a visit that week, and that's when all the stuff that now, I guess, somewhat famous scene of.
So what did you measure your blood pressure at the end of the 4 months? And if so, what was it?
It was, I think, about 10 points off of where I started. So my blood pressure I don't know the exact number.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask is 2 months in, it was already pretty high, but at 4 months in, was it even higher than that?
It was about stable.
It's about stable. Okay. Well, that's good then, because we know, as we all know, Adonis, he had to stop early, 10 days early, because his got so high, right? So you were able to last the 4 months, even though at 2 months it was already pretty high. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But going back to, let me switch gears, going to Jason and Johnny. Have you guys ever worked with a personal trainer before? Tramel?
This is Jason speaking. I actually have. On 2 or 3 occasions, I never followed through with it. I always ended up quitting. And the majority of the time it was because I didn't feel comfortable with the trainer. I didn't feel that the trainer understood me. One thing that they don't really show, and I discussed it very much in detail during the taping of the show, is I'm a weight loss surgery patient. So after I had my weight loss surgery, I hired a trainer and was working with him one-on-one in the gym in my apartment complex. But I just never felt comfortable with him. I felt he passed judgment on me. I felt he didn't understand where I was coming from. So I have on a couple of different occasions, but never followed through. What about you, Johnny?
I had never worked with a trainer before. The closest I got to a trainer was when my mom had a trainer. And I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, no, the Tramels was my first experience with a trainer.
So that's what I was going to ask you guys, is what was your perception of trainers? And it sounds like, Jason, you already had a perception. You kind of firsthand experience, right? But how did you guys view trainers? And then how did you guys view Tramel when he first came to you? Was it the same kind of perception? And then, I know this is a long question, but when he came back and was fat, did that perception of him change? Or was there value in him gaining the weight in your guys' eyes as the trainer? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to try to answer all of that.
Okay.
My initial perception of trainers, I don't know that I ever had any negative feelings toward them. I just, you just see a trainer and you just think, oh, there's someone who's always been fit, and that's what God gave them to do and be in life, is be fit and show everyone else, hey, this is how you be fit. I feel like there was definitely value in Tramel gaining weight that gave me a whole different perspective and a whole new level of respect. Especially, my respect shot up when he said he was going to do it. But of course, there's more value in action than words. So when we walked in and we seen that he actually put on that weight, then I was like, okay, this is for real. Like he really put this on. So I felt that much more encouraged and committed within myself personally to make sure that I didn't let his gain be for loss, no pun intended.
And Drew, where the guy dropped out and didn't finish it with a trainer, I could have not been that person to Tramel, knowing that he invested that kind of time and energy into gaining the weight to work it back off with us. I'm not in any way faulting or bad-mouthing. I think his name was JD. Couldn't have done that because I hold myself in higher regard to what Tramel did for us, that I feel we owed that back to him to at least make an attempt to finish.
And we both felt, not like to bag on him, but we both felt really bad for his trainer. I can't remember her name.
Fallon.
For Fallon. We felt for her because I was just like, oh, man. And I couldn't imagine us doing that to Tramel. So,
yeah. Were there times that you guys did want to quit, though, that you're like, you know what, screw the TV shows, screw the exposure, screw all this whole thing? Were you guys like, you know what, this isn't worth it? Were there any moments of like that you guys had?
We had a lot of behind the scenes. We had a lot of behind the scenes drama, trouble with work, things of that nature, where it's just it all combined together was very overwhelming at certain times and points. And then sometimes some of the production crew people would really rub us the wrong way too.
Yeah, like real talk. When we started this project, everything that could have went wrong, just in life in general, between family and just stuff, felt time, and it got really hard.
And a lot of times the production crew people weren't sympathetic to that at all. I mean, last minute doctor's appointments for workman's comp, and they're telling me I can't go because I need to shoot, and sorry, but that's my day job. That's my livelihood. So, yeah, there were times we wanted to quit because the whole process and the grueling in-your-face camera every minute you move every day just became too much sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what people don't get to see on watching the TV shows. They just kind of see this condensed version of what you guys go through, and like they think, oh well, man, they had it. They lost it so easy for them, but life still happens for you guys. You guys aren't on some resort or camp where you guys are fed your meals and you're working out 6 times a day to lose the weight. It's like you have to deal with all these other things. It's like almost having another full-time job just with the production, part of it, right? Because you got to fit it in your schedule and you're already working to make money. So that's something that people don't get to see. So I'm glad you guys talked about that a little bit. Tramel, another thing that people didn't get to see with you is, didn't you have to switch gyms midway through the process? Like, you had some other trials that you had to go through as well, right?
Yeah, I think Johnny hit the nail on the head when he said that could have happened. When we started shooting, I was part owner of a gym, and at the pretty much the 3-month mark of my heaviest point, we actually had to close the gym. We had to shut our doors down, so I had to find a new job, and then I had to come on to that new job as a fat or an overweight trainer. I was getting those looks from the members of the gym and the clientele and even the other trainers. So I was constantly, being self-conscious and worried about, how those people were perceiving me to be, an overweight trainer. So it was definitely trying for me as well.
That's funny, man, because I was going to ask you about that. Like, did you feel any moments of judgment or, lack of self-esteem in certain situations? And it sounds like you being a trainer where you're training people, did you feel like you had to go, first of all, did you go out of your way to explain to people like, hey man, I'm usually in shape, this is usually what I look like? Or did you kind of just stay silent and let them kind of judge you or whatever?
Oh no, every person I met, I made sure to let them know, not really fat. And to the point where my wife was like, no, you have to stop telling people that because that's defeating the purpose of doing the experiment. It's so you can go through the real, an overweight person, hey, I'm not really fat. Look at this picture of what I'm supposed to look like. At that point, I really had to take a step back and, take a big swallow of my pride and let people, see me how they saw me at the stage of life that I was in. So, initially I was very letting people know this isn't the real me, but I think if I would have continued on that, I wouldn't have gained as much introspection and then the purpose of doing the project.
Yeah, and I can totally relate to that because I went through the same thing. I wanted to go up to complete strangers, handing out flyers. Here's my website. Here's what it used to look like. Here's what I normally eat. Those kinds of things, because you kind of, when you grow up in shape your entire life, and I know not everyone can relate to this, but you identify who you are a little bit with your body and what it looks like. And when you lose your six-pack and the sculpted muscles and that nice physique, you kind of freak out. You're like, who am I? Like, this isn't me. This is normally who I am. But eventually you got to get to the point where you realize, you know what? There's so much more to me than just what my body looks like and my body fat percentage. But it's hard to transition to that when all you've known your entire life is six-pack or being in shape, being an athlete your entire life. So I can definitely relate to that. Going back to the show a little bit, one of the clips that I thought was really funny, and I kind of want to get Jason and Johnny's real reaction, and they did talk a little bit about this, is when you guys first met, and Tramel's going through the cupboards and the refrigerator and the freezer, and he's like, nope, 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 and then basically all that you guys are left with is, I think it was tuna, beans, and tea, am I right? Tea, or maybe oats as well, right?
Yeah, with some oats.
What was you guys, was that for real? Like, he basically said, this is all you guys can eat, and then were you guys like kind of devastated at that point, or what were you guys' thoughts at that point in time?
I can say from having had weight loss surgery and learning how to read labels afterwards, I knew he was right because I had stopped doing that. It had been about 4 years since my weight loss surgery. And I had attended nutrition classes and everything as part of the weight loss surgery. We had gotten very lazy with how we cooked in the house, and at least I had, because I do the majority of the cooking.
It was pure devastation. I'm just going to say pure devastation. Oats and tea, like what the hell else?
And that had probably been in our cabinet for about 2 years.
That is so funny. So basically, during those 4 months of him gaining weight, I mean, you guys didn't just eat that, right? Like, what did you guys do during those 4 months of while Tramel was gaining weight?
It cut out. Tramel got onto us because we had a lot of canned vegetables and a lot of canned items that we were using to cook. So we phased those out and started trying to buy more frozen vegetables, not necessarily fresh, but at least frozen. Started trying to grill more, fry less. I mean, I grew up in the South, so everything's fried. So we started trying to eat a little more healthy, not nearly like we did after we started working out, but we did change our diet a little bit.
Gotcha. And so Tramel, with you during that phase, I know that it was a struggle for all the trainers, right? To put on this weight, to really eat. And something people don't realize is there is pressure, from the production to really make sure you're gaining weight, right? Because there's this balance of, and this is what some people kind of reach out to me about on social media, is like there's this balance of reality. Like most people don't eat that way, right? To gain the weight, and I get that. But what we're trying to do in this short little 4-month window is to have this experiment to show some dramatic results. So if there isn't that pressure to really push yourself and eat as much as you can in those 4 months, then people will complain on the other end saying, well, they only gained 20, 30 pounds. Like that's not fat. That's not, noticeable. So there's this pressure from both ends, and you can never satisfy everybody. But how did you find that balance for you, Tramel, of okay, I do need to push myself and eat more, but at the same time, like I don't want to get too fat or I don't want to gain too much weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, once my wife and I accepted the fact that I was going to have to gain weight, we decided to just have fun with it. So, I kind of tried to dive into the mindset of having as much fun as possible. I was a competitive bodybuilder, so, I've been used to a strict diet, a very strict, boring diet of lots of foods. So I really did dive into it and try to, get into as much different foods as I could, and foods that I would always see people eating and things of that nature. So initially it was I was having a blast, but it got to the point where, constantly stepping on the scale and, changing that mind frame of, I hope I gain 5 pounds. I hope I gain 7 pounds. The relationship with the scale became, something that I was never used to. And, that pressure of trying to get on that weight was definitely something that started to take its toll.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I know. So, Monica, for you, I have to ask this question. Did you join in with Tramel at any point in time during his weight gaining phase? Did you kind of support him? You know how sometimes a woman will get pregnant and the man will kind of gain baby weights to sympathize a little bit. Did you kind of do that kind of thing with Tramel?
I tried my best not to, but it's kind of hard when every Friday night turns into pizza night and there's donuts in the house and he leaves to go to work before I do and there's still a donut on the counter. So I end up putting on a little bit of weight. Of course, not as much as he did, but I end up gaining about 15 pounds through the whole process.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That is so funny. I could totally see that happening, especially for me. Like my weakness is if the food's in the house, I'm going to eat it. And so that would be really, really hard, a test of your willpower. Like how strong are you to not eat those foods when it's there right in front of your face? That would be really hard. So I can imagine it was a struggle for you to try and stay in shape as well. So I think that's really funny. Tramel, now comparing your episode a little bit to Seth's, did you watch Seth's episode, the one right before yours?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so he ended up throwing up a lot. Did you throw up at all?
No, not one time. I have a pretty resilient stomach, so I got on the verge a few times, but I did not actually get to the point where I was forced to throw up.
Okay, well that's good. I'm glad to hear that because that was definitely something that people did not like to see, especially with his massive beard, right? Was there any point in time, Tramel, that you did struggle though from an emotional perspective with the weight gaining phase, thinking to yourself, because I know you're trying to have fun with it, and it didn't seem like you struggled too much from the episode from an emotional perspective, but were there any moments that you can remember where you're like, you know what, I want to be done with this, I don't want to do this anymore, just from like an emotional perspective?
The biggest emotional struggle that I had was the day that we actually had to close the gym, or the day I got the news that we closed the gym, because we were actually filming that day. It was kind of brought up onto me last minute notification that, hey, we got to close. We're shutting down in 2 weeks. And my business partners knew that we were coming to an end a little bit earlier than I did. And the way I found out about it, it all kind of snowballed into a very emotional time, and probably the worst. I'm actually surprised that they cut a lot of that out, but I guess it didn't really go with the story that they were trying to tell. But that was by far the emotional part. And then another part that really struck with me was I was good friends with Sandra Bland, and I went to high school with her sister and her, and so when all of that stuff was happening with the Black Lives Matter, Sandra Bland, and that nature, so that was a pretty emotional part for me, and go through that and have to film while a lot of that stuff was going on. Those are probably the two more emotional because you try to put on fake cameras, but it was kind of hard to deal with with those two issues.
Yeah, man, that's interesting, and that's what I wish that maybe next season the episodes will be 2 hours long to show a lot more of the footage that got cut out, right? Because there's so much more to show, both on the trainer side and on the client side, right? There's a lot more drama and a lot more details that I think people would benefit or be able to relate to if we were able to show a little bit more of that. But okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the second phase, you guys. Let's talk about that first workout for you guys, Jason and Johnny. When Tramel, you guys come in, you see him, and Tramel, he gained 66 pounds. But here's the thing, Tramel, I think you carried it really well to where it, I don't know, your body type was interesting to where it wasn't like, I don't know, you just carried it really well. And so Jason and Johnny, when you guys first saw him 66 pounds heavier, were you guys impressed? Like, okay, damn, he did it for real. Like, he's legit. Or were you kind of like, well, he gained 66 pounds, but it doesn't look like he gained 66 pounds. What was your guys' reaction?
To be completely honest, I mean, you could tell he had gained weight, but he looked honestly like he could go put on pads and tackle anybody on the football field. He looked like a conditioned professional athlete who was just had a few extra pounds. I mean, it was obvious having seen him before, but it wasn't like the other trainers that we've seen. He did carry it very well. I'll agree.
Yeah, Tramel looked the way that I wanted to look when it was over with. Honestly, I was like, yes, that's what I'm going for.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, go ahead, Monica.
After Tramel was able to start losing the weight and was able to start working out again, he actually joined the gym by our house so he could do more cardio. Because before, of course, he didn't need to even have a gym membership there. So he wanted to do some, fasted cardio. So we go to sign up, and I already had a membership. So he came to sign up on my family membership, and I was just adding him. So the guy that's, signing us up at the gym's like, so, man, where you been working out? Clearly you've been working out somewhere. And I'm looking like, are you kidding me? Like, he hasn't worked out in 4 months and has been eating donuts for 4 months. And you're wondering, he's like, yeah, man, what's your secret? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous.
That is so funny. That is hilarious. That's just not fair. It's not fair, Tramel. I'm just saying. So, Tramel, I know that you were disgusted because of you were so used to being like, really, really lean. But for you, were you kind of like the same way? You're like, I don't look that bad. What was your thought about how you looked at 66 pounds heavier?
I personally thought I looked quite horrible. And then I was in utter shock. The moment that Monica just spoke on, I was in utter shock. It kind of disappointed me at the state of health and fitness that I could be 66 pounds overweight and someone's asking, what's my secret? How do I clearly you work out? When I was like, no, I haven't worked out in 4 months. But yeah, I was not feeling the body. I mean, and a lot of people would tell me I carried it well, and but I was just like, I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. I did not. There was something that I did not want to believe. It was like, no, I look horrible. What are you talking about?
That is so funny, man. No, that's a really funny story, actually. I'm glad that you shared that, Monica, because, I think that's very interesting. That it's all about perception, right? I mean, a lot of people, for example, like bodybuilders have this bulking phase where they do gain weight, they do gain some fat, but I mean, you look like you were still working out, but I know that you weren't. Anyways, okay, Jason and Johnny, for you guys, that first workout with Tramel didn't look too bad. I'm talking about the one in the gym, not the one on the track. But you guys were still sweating. You were still dying, right? Am I right? Was that like, were you guys kind of scared? Like, oh man, what did we sign up for?
Yeah. It was painful. It was painful.
And I had no clue we looked so pathetic, to be honest with you, until I saw it on TV.
Yeah, I was telling Tramel that when we actually watched it, like we got so weak, we were busting up at each other because we looked like two like broke down old decrepit men trying to come up off the bench using sticks and stones. Bad.
Feeling like we were going to break our bones.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then the next day was the track workout, right? So, Tramel, how because you look like you still killed it, right? You didn't throw up. You still look like you killed it, but I mean, how exhausted were you with your first workout back after 4 months of no exercise?
It was definitely a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. I could feel everything moving all over the place, all the extra jiggling. And even when I was trying to run, like if anyone's had I guess I can call it the pleasure of actually seeing me run, I was known. They actually called me Tramel the Gazelle back in my running days because I had a pretty good stride, a pretty nice stride. But watching myself run and even just feeling myself run, I was just like, no, this is so horrible. I'm a track coach and I look like this. So it was pretty bad. It was definitely hard. They did a good job in that case of editing to make me look like I wasn't struggling as much as I was, but it was horrible for me.
Okay, gotcha. Now, Jason and Johnny, man, I was actually really impressed with the workout. I know it was hard. You guys struggled, but man, I was really impressed with how well both of you guys did. Were you guys actually impressed with how you did, or at least the way it looked on the episode?
I feel like we handled the on the track better than we did trying to push up the bench, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was, I felt good about myself for the most part until I seen the episode. But no, I felt like we did better than we probably thought we would have done, considering that we'd had no physical activity for years, if ever.
Yeah. And the dramatic effect of the rain the timing was perfect. So.
Yeah, the rain.
Yeah, that actually was kind of cool. It happened right in your workout, right, Jason?
Yes, right at the
Mm-hmm.
That was cool though to see Johnny cheering you on and helping you out, like pushing you through it. It was cool to see that camaraderie between you two, and it's really inspirational and motivational, in my opinion. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that part because that's where you see from the other episodes, for example, a lot of the clients are pushed to complete exhaustion, and then they just hate. They just like, I don't want to do this at all. But you guys ended on a positive note where you're like, you know what, we can do this, even though it's hard. Let's fast forward a little bit to, after that point in time. Here you are, you guys are losing weight, Tramel's losing weight together. Did that add value for you guys to see that Tramel also had to kind of, even though his ground zero was, maybe even better than where you guys were starting from, but did that kind of help motivate you guys, knowing that Tramel had to go through this process as well?
I would say it did motivate us. Was a little jealous because he had more free time to work out than we had his attempts to lose weight back.
Right, 2 a day.
Two a couple of times. I feel like that was a little unfair, but Monica's agreeing.
That's how I always feel. I'm like, you're always in the gym. This is not fair.
No, you know what's funny is I've had a lot of people reach out to me kind of saying the same thing, like, hey, the trainer should only be allowed to work out when his client can work out, because they have a schedule where they can't work out 2-3 times a day, and that should how it should be. And so I get where you're coming from, because people have said the same thing, like, okay, it's got to be equal, but there's no way it can be equal, because I mean, maybe if they gained the weight and kept it on for 10 to 20 years or the same amount of time that you guys have, then it would be fair, but obviously you can't do that. So I totally get it. Maybe we'll set up some other rules for season 2. Another cool suggestion that some people had were you should have the clients train the trainer during the weight gaining phase to cheer them on, to push them harder during their eating challenges.
we did get to send Tramel to our favorite place for Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah, Popeyes.
And Popeyes. And yeah.
So we got to push him a little bit to the dark side.
Yeah, there were days where it was the Johnny and Jason challenge where I had to eat not only Johnny but also Jason's favorite foods in one day. So you take a combined 620 pounds worth of man and the foods that their favorite breakfast, both of their favorite breakfast, both of their favorite lunch, and both of their favorite dinners. So that was one of the hardest days and most challenging days. It was like a smorgasbord on top of a smorgasbord. So that was the most ridiculous day ever.
Chinese food and fried chicken together. Yeah.
That's like 12,000, 15,000 calories, right? I mean,
Yes, it was definitely hard.
okay, so there was a little bit of that. Obviously, people didn't get to see that, but there are some cool suggestions like that one and the other one that we just talked about that I think would make for some interesting drama as well. But the next thing I want to talk about is the Pop-Tart scene, Tramel. And I know it's kind of funny. We tease you about it. You know, next time I see you, I'll bring a Pop-Tart, of course. But it's actually really cool because people really related to that. You were, I think, the only trainer that showed a moment of weakness on his journey back to fit, whereas every single other trainer, for the most part, was like a machine, you know, black and white, no cheat meals. You got to be on point 100% of the time. And here you are eating a Pop-Tart, right? And I think that was really cool because it showed how human you were and how the cravings are real. Because that's one thing I've talked about since I did my journey was people are like, oh, well, do you still have cravings? I'm like, hell yes, I do. I still crave this stuff. Even 5 years later, the cravings, in my opinion, are always there. They just become more manageable over time as you stay consistent in eating towards your goals. But I feel like they're always there. Like if a Pop-Tart's in the house or if a donut's in the house, it's that, you know, it's so convenient just to eat it. So the question for you, Tramel, is, first of all, why was the Pop-Tart there? Or did you go out of your way to get the Pop-Tart? Or did someone give it to you? How did that happen? Like, what was the setup for that?
So there was, on the last fat day that I had before we switched back to fit, I just so happened to have one Pop-Tart left over. And I put it on top of the fridge, and I told myself, when this is over, I'm going to eat you. And every day it was like that little silver shiny package was just calling my name. Tramel, eat me. Tramel, eat me. So finally it came to the point where I was just like, you know what? You're going down today, buddy. So, I mean, I went all out. I put the Pop-Tart in the oven, and I let it get all nice and brown on the sides. And, it just got to a point where my willpower wasn't strong enough to resist the urge, and I had to give in. I just had to give in, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, on that note, Drew, I will say one thing. My sister said she really liked the fact that he showed a sign of weakness there. And Tramel, they didn't show this during the show. We had a trip to New Orleans planned before we ever started filming the show. And we made it very clear to the production crew that weekend is off limits. We will do nothing for the show that weekend. Although we got talked into it and got harassed the whole time we were in New Orleans, film this, do that, do this, do that. And then none of it was used, of course, on the show. But Tramel did give us, because he said we were doing so well, the right to have a cheat meal while we were in New Orleans. Of course, obviously you're in New Orleans, you want seafood. We got a big seafood platter. Between the two of us, we shared it. Couldn't eat half of it.
We went to Deanie's for the record. I don't know if you ever.
Amazing place.
Amazing. So good.
Everything's fried. Everything's dipped in something. It's traditional New Orleans seafood.
But the thing about it was when we got back, I think that everybody was on edge, like, ooh, we know they gained weight. We got back and we had actually lost 5 pounds during that trip.
And we had hurricanes. We had alcoholic beverages. We
went in, but we walked a lot. We was on Bourbon Street, so we were walking a lot.
It was Labor Day weekend. New Orleans at that time of the year is so hot. We needed 2-3 changes of clothes a day. We were sweating so bad.
So we got that physical activity in still, but we did have that one cheat meal.
Yeah, but that's what's cool is, there can be balance in life. You can have, a happy, healthy life, but you can also enjoy a cheat meal, a treat meal, whatever you want to call it, every now and then. You can have your Pop-Tart, your alcoholic beverages, and have these social settings. You don't need to go live in a cave for the rest of your life and say, okay, never eating sugar or processed food ever again. It's just not realistic for a lot of people, and depending on the culture you come from and your family that you come from, the way you were raised, it's a lot harder for some people versus others. But I think that's a great story and example to, you can have fun and have a balanced lifestyle. Now, I get during these 4 months, it is like, okay, we got to lose as much weight as possible to look good for the show. I understand that, because maybe some of the clients are working out 2-3 times a day, sometimes to look good for the camera. But I like that story for both of you guys. And then the next thing I want to talk about, Tramel, is at the end of the day, I thought, what was your thoughts on you not hitting your weight loss goal? It didn't seem to affect you too much, but was there any part of you that was like, okay, well, maybe some people are going to think of me as not a good trainer, or were there any negative thoughts about that part of the show where you didn't lose all the weight?
For clarification purposes, throughout the whole filming process, my goal was to actually end at about 190 to 195, and have a six pack and have my body fat return back to 10% or lower. So in reality, I did not hit that goal. But if you notice at the end, when I was doing my interview and we were talking about it, I specifically say I wasn't going to trip over 4 or 5 pounds, which kind of contradicts the 181 pound goal, because I ended up at 199 and 4 or 5 pounds would have put me at 195. So, my personal goal was to get to 195. I really wanted to use that as an opportunity to put on more mass. But to answer the question, I wasn't disappointed because, getting back to the original weight, it was superseded by getting Jason and Johnny to a place where they were in a healthier, and I was more concerned of just more so getting my health back to normal than I was concerned of getting the weight or the scale back to that starting point.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask that is because I went through this same thought process before I ended my journey. I was trying to lose the weight, and I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be able to lose all this weight. But at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation. If you hit your goal, cool. People think, all right, yeah, he's a trainer. He hit his goal. He did the numbers, like he knows what he's doing. But at the other side of it is, okay, he didn't hit his numbers. He's human. He's just like me. It makes you so much more relatable at the end of the day. So I think those two things, the Pop-Tart scene and you actually not hitting your goal, makes you such a more relatable person, in my opinion. So I haven't seen any negativity or any haters out there from my perspective. I just want to make sure that no one's hating on you for that. But I'm just letting you know from my perspective, I haven't seen any. But I went through that same thought process. Even though I did hit my goal at the end of mine, I was like, you know what? It's a win-win situation either way, because you're going to be relatable. And so I think that's really cool. Have you had any reaction to that directly? Have people reached out to you and said, oh, I'm so glad you didn't hit your goal? Or what's been the reaction?
The reaction to that, no one's actually mentioned that. The only reaction that I've gotten, I guess negatively, has been on, the initial intake interview, the quote of me being disgusted by.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay,
because we have some clarifying there, right? So go ahead and you tell me this. You guys tell me the story.
Okay, so initially, the interview goes. It shows me saying that I am disgusted by fat people, and that could be no further from the truth. I have family members that are overweight. My mother, my brother. I have people in my family that I love dearly that are overweight, and for me to say that is totally out of my character. The best I can say without going too far into detail is that's the magic of television editing. We are asked thousands of questions, mostly the same question, to get you to give enough information to chop and cut the way that they please. But the only flag that I have caught was over those comments. But in terms of me not losing the weight or getting back to 181, it makes me, like you said, it makes me more relatable. People definitely have commended me on that. That and the Pop-Tart scene, which are two scenes that I didn't think was going to get as much attention, but I've gotten more messages about the Pop-Tart that I think Kellogg's or whoever makes Pop-Tarts needs to cut me a check. I think that's where we're at with that.
Okay, the question is, would Pop-Tart, or would you allow Pop-Tart to sponsor you?
If the money was right, no, I would not. I'm a health and fitness professional, and that is not something that I could condone.
That's funny, man. No, I was just playing with you there. But no, thank you for clarifying that. I know that you did want to clarify that because there was some reaction to that comment. And you and Monica did a great job on reaching out to people on social media to let them know, hey, this is not who Tramel is. This is really what he said, and this and that. And so I thought you guys did a great job of clarifying that. And unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast sometimes with the reality TV is I have no control over that either, just so you know. People listening. So, but
personally, Drew, if he was that grossed out, then he would have been grossed out for about 3 or 4 months of seeing me and Johnny in shorts and t-shirts.
Right.
So he would have had to get over it at some point. That's all I can say.
No, I totally get it. So let's kind of update people with where you guys are at. So Tramel, obviously it's been 5 months since the production of the show. Where have you maintained that weight, that body fat percentage that you ended the show at, or where have you progressed to today?
Right as of right now, I weighed myself about a couple hours ago after I took a shower, and I weighed in at 190 pounds. I'm back to single digit body fat percentages. And but more importantly, my health, both mentally, physically, and spiritually, I'm in a much better place than I was starting the project.
Gotcha. And that's what I wanted to show people is like, even though Tramel didn't get back to his goal weight or body fat percentage at the end of 4 months, is like journey is a destination. Like there is no finish line. And so you just keep working towards your goals. And yeah, it might take a long time, but eventually you'll get to where you really want to be. But at the end of the day, my hope with the whole Fit to Fat to Fit show was having these trainers come through and at least gain a better appreciation for their clients, better respect, a better understanding, and some empathy. It was my hope, and it sounds like you really came out of this, a better trainer, a better human, with more empathy and more respect and more understanding versus who you were before. Not saying you weren't empathetic before, but I feel like just like me. When you grow up and you're only in shape and that's all you know, it's tough to really understand where people are coming from. And maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but maybe you can speak to that as far as what you learned from this whole experience.
Yeah, the biggest thing I did learn was it was truly a test in empathy, because I have never, like I said, my whole life I've been in shape. I've been, a pretty good athlete. Always one of the more athletic, most in shape people in, my circles and things of that nature. So for me to take that and walk in, a mile in someone else's shoes, it definitely showed me not only the mental but the physical struggles that an overweight person goes through. And it definitely gave me a new perspective on what is important in life and what is important in health and fitness.
So that's awesome. Jason, Johnny, can you guys, do you guys mind talking about like updating people where you're at now with your weight loss journey, and if you guys are comfortable with that?
Oh yeah,
sure. I'll let Johnny speak first.
For myself, I've probably lost about 15 pounds more since this journey began and ended. I can say that I get a whole lot more physical activity. Both of us do. Unfortunately, I lost my car shortly after. We fell on some financial hardships, but that has actually turned out to be a blessing because number one, I have $600 more a month in my pocket. Number two, I walk everywhere. Like to get to work, I got to walk. I climb. We live on top of a mountain.
So we have to walk over and down the mountain to go anywhere. So
we got to walk over and down the mountain just to get to the bus stop or the mall's behind us, so we'll walk to the mall and then we'll walk around the mall. So I work in Buckhead. So I'm always walking up and down the streets. Like I feel more physically inclined to do things than I ever felt before, and that feels really good.
And just to throw this out there, Drew, talking about getting to the bus stop, we did find a shortcut through the woods, but it goes over a creek and you have to go across this fallen tree and you have to balance yourself. Johnny's brave enough for the balancing act.
Down pat.
Jason just walks the longer path because I don't trust the tree.
He won't. I tie rope the tree every day to work. Like I crossed that little tree. And I took Jason down the path, and he was like, "Nah." He threw some pebbles into the creek and then hopped those.
And then my foot got in the creek, and it wasn't nice. I just walked the longer route.
That is so funny. I actually want to see a video of you guys' trek to work, or to the bus stop. That is actually sounds really entertaining. More entertaining than most people's.
I have pictures. We have pictures.
Yeah, we got pictures. We took pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, but we both lost about 15 pounds since the show stopped airing. We get a lot more physical activity.
Our dogs are happy.
Our dogs are happy. We run and play with them. Yeah. We've taken in a second dog. We had one dog during the filming of the show, Biscuit. They never showed Biscuit.
Yeah, I was hoping they showed Biscuit.
We have a second dog named Bo now, and he's a beagle, and
very hyper
and likes to run away. The other day, actually the day of our viewing party, the day the show aired, Bo ran away, and I had to chase him halfway around the neighborhood. Never caught him.
Oh no!
he decided he wanted to chase the ducks into the pond, and we had a very fishy smelling dog.
Yeah, I got the flu that day, and some kids came to the door. We found your dog. I crawl out of bed. Jason was already gone to the party. I couldn't make it. I had to crawl out the bed, go retrieve Bo, put him in his crate, and get back in the bed.
Oh man, those are some great stories. And here's the thing that's so cool about all this. Yeah, it's cool you guys lost an extra 15 pounds, but let me put this into perspective. The show was done filming in October, I think November-ish, right? I believe. And so this is even over the holidays, right? December, January, where a lot of people put on a lot of weight. You guys were still able to lose 15 pounds on top of what you guys already lost. So let me ask you guys, what are some things, maybe like 3 or 4 things that you guys have that have been big changes for you guys that have just become habits now or part of your lifestyle since the show?
We look at labels when we buy groceries.
All the time, constantly.
And what do you look at when you look at the labels?
We look at the sodium content. We look at
caloric intake, the carbs. Mm-hmm. And we've learned about labels that you got to watch the per serving because you get tricked up that way. You think, oh, it only has 220 calories. No, that's per serving. And then there's 5 servings in one, whatever it is you're buying. So we pay close attention to that. The things that we eat, definitely, like we still stick to vegetables and meat for the most part for dinner. Yeah. We cook at home. We don't eat out a lot anymore like we used to. We pass McDonald's, we pass Checkers. All of this stuff is like right in our faces, especially where I'm at, where I work. There's a McDonald's right across the street. I have to think twice about it.
Okay, that's cool. Tramel, can you talk a little bit about the nutrition side of things for you on your weight loss journey and what you did versus what you had Jason and Johnny do? Like maybe some specifics, because people always want to know, like, okay, the show doesn't, maybe we'll show you guys eating a salad, but it's like, okay, I think we know, salads are healthy, but can you talk about some specific, like some of your nutritional philosophies and things that you implemented for both for you and for Jason and Johnny?
The biggest thing that I try to preach to Jason and Johnny is one ingredient food items. That is the thing that I live by. And what I mean by that is an apple is a one ingredient food apple, or an apple is an apple. A piece of lettuce is lettuce, steak is steak, carrots are carrots, kale is kale. And I preach to them that you can take these one ingredient food items to make a meal, but I would rather and much rather have you eating and making meals off of one ingredient food items instead of having something that has an ingredient list that 16 items make up this one product, and the 8 of the 16 items you can't even pronounce. So that is my big thing that I try to instill into all my clients. And then the other big thing that we would do was we would have just fat, healthy fats and protein for breakfast, and we would save the majority of our carbs for post-workout meals. Those are the 2 sticklers that I would do for nutrition.
Okay, those are actually really cool rules, really easy to follow rules that a lot of people that are listening to this can implement. Last question I had before we get to the lightning round, you guys, which is the fun part of the show, is for Monica. Monica, maybe is she there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Just making sure before I ask the question. What did you notice how Tramel changed throughout this entire process? What, from your perspective, how did this benefit or add value to the man that you're married to, Tramel?
Well, of course, all the physical side effects that kind of happen during the process, snoring at night, all the the edema, the swelling, pain. He was just having a lot of pain all over. All that stuff has, of course, subsided. But as far as his personality, it's still pretty much the same. But I think he just understands a lot more of what it feels like when you are out of shape. And so when he is pushing those clients that he may have that are brand new to training or never had training before and haven't worked out in years, knowing kind of how hard that is, I think has changed a little bit of maybe how he approaches, that first or second workout. He's still tough. Don't get me wrong. Still going to be hard, but he's able to kind of, I've been in your shoes. I know how hard it is. So have a little more respect for them in that aspect.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that you talked about that. One other part that I was going to say that unfortunately didn't get shown was the part, where me and Tramel both had some pizza on the basketball court. Do you remember that, Tramel?
Yeah, that was definitely a fun day. I'm actually glad that they cut it out because I was like 0 for 12 on my basketball. I promise you, I was making everything before the cameras came, but as soon as we hit action, I was like just bricks.
It must have been the pizza that we had or something.
For the record, Drew, I could outshoot Johnny on the basketball court.
He had one good day. One good day. Yeah, I suck at basketball, so what?
Yeah, that's funny, man. Okay. Any other stories you guys want to add before we get into the lightning round and wrap up, you guys, or anything that you guys want to say about the show or about your experience about, any last words or stories that you guys want to throw in there?
I think we're ready for the lightning round.
Okay, cool, you guys. So the way the lightning round works is just really fast, really simple, easy questions, kind of fun. So just the first thing that pops up in your mind, and then I'll kind of direct the questions to each of you guys, and kind of we'll go from there. Tramel, what was one food that you had to eat during your fit to fat phase that you're just so sick of that you never want to eat ever again?
Donuts.
Okay, did you ever count how many donuts you ate during that fit to fat phase?
No, I didn't keep a running tally, but I know on one day, I think they planned it. I had 4 clients show up late, and they all brought a dozen donuts. So on that day alone, I had 48 donuts. So
48? Oh, dude, that is crazy.
I didn't get them all in that one sitting, but by the third day, those donuts were gone.
That is crazy. Okay, Jason and Johnny, you guys, what's one food that Tramel made you eat that you guys are like, I'd never want to have this in my diet ever again?
Quinoa.
Quinoa.
They didn't show it. Johnny called it canoa when he read it.
I didn't even know how to say it. Quinoa, whatever it is.
We didn't like it at first. I learned how to cook it and make it good.
Okay, that's funny. The next question is for Tramel, man. What was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you during your fit to fat phase? First thing that pops up.
I was in Centennial Olympic Park, and I was trying to get new clients at my heaviest point. So I was pretty embarrassed passing out business cards and telling people about health and fitness where I felt I was a lot overweight, but I actually did pick up a client that day, which was kind of crazy, but it was embarrassing for me.
Did you ask him or her what they thought of you when they first saw you?
Yes, the producers asked what was the perception of me, and they said, well, he looks like he's in shape, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that is funny. Okay, Jason, Johnny, you guys, what was your most embarrassing moment during the entire 8 months of filming?
That they showed or didn't show.
Either or, that they showed or didn't show.
For me, it was when my back gave out on the track. That was day 2. My back was like no, and then I couldn't do anything else. And I did exactly what I said I didn't want to do. I laid all down on the ground and rolling in the tears, and my face was looking crazy. My knees was ashy. It was just bad. And
for me, there were 2 or 3 times that Tramel did make me puke from the workout. It never got caught on camera, but that would probably be it for me. I mean, Johnny and I, and it was right at the end on our way out the door. I'm literally by the car, and I'm like, hold on. Just got out and puked right by the car.
That is funny. Yeah, too bad that didn't make the episode. Okay, Monica, was there ever a time that you were embarrassed for Tramel in a social setting of any kind? Anything that pops up?
Not that I can think of. I just remember there was an event that we were supposed to go to together. A friend of mine was having a birthday party, and it was kind of more of a formal, not really too formal, but you had to look kind of nice. And he didn't have any clothes, so I had to find another date because he was not able to come. He had nothing to wear. So I felt bad for him in that aspect. He's just like, I'm just going to stay home and watch TV with Bella, our dog. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, bye.
That's heartbreaking. Poor Tramel. That's tough. I thought you went to the Goodwill store to find some clothes, Tramel. You couldn't find any tuxes or suits?
Nothing that would have that would have made me look good with what my wife had on. So no.
Oh, okay, I got you. I can relate to that. Yeah, okay. Well, quick story, really funny. When I was doing my Fit to Fat to Fit experiment, I was going on all these TV shows. I was in New York, and they were telling me what I had to wear for to go on Dr. Oz and Good Morning America, and I'm like, okay, first of all, I can't find anything like that in my size downtown New York City, Times Square. I'm like, every store I go into, large is the biggest size they have, and I'm like, there's nothing stylish. How am I gonna? I was literally out walking for 2 or 3 hours, going from store to store. I'm like, do you guys have anything in extra large? And they look at me weird, like, of course not. So I understand the struggle of trying to find stylish clothes that are in the bigger size. So, anyways, that's kind of funny. But okay, Tramel, would you ever do this experiment again?
I like an experiment to be a once in a lifetime experiment. And I'd much rather keep it that way. So I would definitely like and will continue to help overweight people reach their goals. But me putting on that weight on purpose, I would not do again. No.
Gotcha. I don't blame you, and I second that. I definitely would not do this again either. So one and done for me.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. Honestly, we had a great time. You guys had an amazing, inspiring episode. Continue to inspire and motivate people by living the lifestyle. I'm really, really proud of you, Jason and Johnny. You guys did awesome and great, and I'm glad that they put you guys on there. It made for such an interesting show, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to you guys, and Tramel, people are going to be able to relate to you. Probably send you some Pop-Tarts, just as a joke. But anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for being a part of this.
Thank you.
All right. Where can people find out more about you? Social media, websites? How do people get in touch with you guys?
In regards to the social media concept, I'll give you personally, I am on Facebook. JasonHWright@gmail.com is the way they can look me up there. On that note, would like to mention one other thing, Drew, that we're working on. It is an idea that I came up with. Spoke to Johnny about it, then we spoke with Tramel. We've also spoken with Corey, the other trainer from the other show here in Atlanta, and we're speaking with Rayla, the one that participated with him. We've actually come up with an idea of a charity benefit to give back to the local community. Georgia ranks in the top 5 in the country for childhood obesity. We're calling this benefit the Perimeter Challenge. I-285, which circles the city, is roughly 64 miles to drive around. So we're challenging people to walk the first 59 miles over a 2-month time frame, keep track of their progress, and then everyone gather and walk the final 5 miles together. Now, this is a concept that we're really roughly about 3 weeks into planning. We've already gotten some major interest as far as sponsorships. We're talking as far as facilities for hosting it. We are working to get 501c3 status. We've got a benefit organization that we're choosing to benefit from the charity event. Once we organize it and have it planned, we're looking for a date in the fall. We did go ahead and put a website up, theperimeterchallenge.com, which has a link to some social media stuff as well, and has a link to a GoFundMe page. There are a lot of costs involved in getting just the basic setup. It's a couple of $100 just to get organized as a 501c3. So any support that people can throw our way, if they can go on there at theperimeterchallenge.com, click that link and donate, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Okay, that will be in the show notes, and definitely we'll throw support your guys' way, because I think that's an awesome concept, and I'd love to see it come to fruition and definitely make a difference in your local community out there. Johnny, any other?
We did get our first online donation today, by the way.
Okay, there you go. See, this is a snowball effect. We're just going to keep this rolling. So, the more information you guys have, just keep me posted, and we'll reshare it and retweet it and put it out there, and for people to continue to contribute and donate to this cause. So I'm glad you guys are doing this.
Thank you. This is Tramel. I could be found on Instagram as darkskint_Clark Kent. Darkskint with the T at the end. My Twitter is @TramelSmith, and my Facebook is /TramelSmith. And I also have launched a website, totalnutritionandtraining.com. Which is just my brand of personal training and nutrition, where I supply videos and articles and online training as well.
Awesome. That will be in the show notes. And
This is John. I can be found at Facebook / Johnny Collins. I have a Reverb Nation page where I keep my music. I also have a Facebook artist page, which you can find from my regular Facebook page. And I'm also on Twitter as Vocals Part 2. That's the number 2 on Twitter.
Monica, do you want to put yours out there or no?
My Instagram is Moni, Moni Ferg Smith. So just Moni Ferg Smith.
Gotcha. All of this will be in the show notes so that, once the podcast airs, people will be able to reach out to you guys a lot easier. And just want to say thank you guys again. Seriously, I'm glad that you guys were a part of this. And part of this movement is what it is, to be honest with you. So thank you guys. Stay in touch. Keep us posted. We'd love to hear more from you guys. But thank you so much for coming on. We'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
Thanks, Drew.
Okay. See you guys. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to another great episode of the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. Please leave us a review on iTunes if you love the show. Please subscribe to the show. Help us continue this podcast to bring you guys great content, more information to help you guys stay in the know on the latest trends in health and fitness, so you can continually upgrade your knowledge on what is the best way to maintain a healthy lifestyle for you. That's why we bring on people from all different types of backgrounds to bring some diversity to the show, but we can't do it without you guys' support. So please subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes, tell your friends and family about the show, share some of the episodes with some of your loved ones if it hits home and you can relate to them. Please follow me on social media at Fit to Fat to Fit on all my social media handles. Lynn, her social media handles are at 2fitathome, and her website is 2fitathome.com. Mine's fittofattofit.com. You can sign up for my newsletter just to stay in the know so you know what's happening, any big events that are coming up. But thank you guys once again. We really appreciate and love you guys for your support throughout the years, and we promise to continue to deliver great quality content to you guys and to keep you guys in the know and up to date with what we're up to. So we'll see you guys back here next week for another great episode.